I'm a product program manager, and Andras, my colleague, is a product manager. We're going to go through a bit of introduction of what IDP is, what is active learning, how it works, what is Compath and DocPath, and then we'll finish off with a product demo and Q&A. So to start with, enterprise is overwhelmed with documents and communications that are processed manually. We see multiple challenges with manual document processing, but mainly it's very time consuming and inefficient. This can prevent businesses from growing and scaling efficiently. The slow processing and decision making can also lead to poor customer experience. And finally, manual processing increases the chance of mistakes, incorrect actions, and missed opportunities. All businesses run on documents and communications. This applies to all of the enterprise functions and industries. For example, claims handling in insurance, mortgage application in banking, or patient registrations in healthcare. UiPath offers end-to-end IDP solution. We process communications with attached documents in various languages and formats. This includes handwriting, signatures, checkboxes, or tables. Communications mining extracts key intents, sentiments, and data points from the messages, and document understanding extracts all of the relevant data from the documents. The extracted data can be validated in validation stations and routed to automation for further processing. So what makes UiPath special? We have more than 70 pre-built models to process documents and communications across various domains and industries. We use both generative and specialized AI to accelerate time to value. Our IDP solution is part of the end-to-end business automation platform, which enables automation at scale. And we are a recognized leader in the IDP sector, including the product capabilities, product vision, strategy, and market impact. I'm going to pause here in case there are any questions. And if not, we'll move on to active learning. Okay, so both communications mining and document understanding are using active learning. In document understanding, active learning is a new experience that was recently introduced. It was released last month, so some of you might be new to active learning. But the purpose of active learning is to provide this iterative process between the model and model trainers to reduce the time and effort to train machine learning models. It needs much smaller document sample. It provides a guided user training experience. It requires no machine learning or coding skills to build models, and it has an inbuilt validation and performance statistics. It unifies the experience of training, deploying, and monitoring DU models. Previously, this was done across document understanding, document manager, and AI Center. This involves 4 key phases: build, measure, publish, and monitor. Build is where you upload your samples, annotate the documents, and train the models end-to-end. Measure is where you assess your model's performance and see where the improvement areas are. Publish is where you create and deploy new project versions, and monitor is where you track the performance of your automations. Modern projects that are using active learning have a number of advantages and disadvantages. So just for everyone's awareness, modern projects are only available on Automation Cloud. They are using generative pre-annotation feature. So this is the screenshot you can see on this slide. They do have a new pricing and licensing model. So we are charging 1 AI unit for every page processed and no additional infrastructure costs. Currently, document splitting is not available. Same with auto fine-tuning. And it's not compatible with intelligent OCR activities yet. It's also not possible to consume projects between different tenants and organizations, but all of these limitations are being actively worked on, and all of this will be available by the end of this year. Any questions on active learning or modern projects? And apologies, I cannot see the questions in comments.
There are no questions, Lenka,
Okay.
for now.
Okay, perfect. So let me introduce you to the UiPath LLMs. So currently UiPath has two LLMs, Compath and DocPath. Compath will be released very soon. DocPath is already available, but they are both the underlying models that are driving features in both products. So for Compath, the large language model has been trained to process more complex communications that include number of different intents and fields and understanding of the relationships between these. And Compath specifically is driving our generative extraction feature in communications mining. DocPath is driving number of features in document understanding, but enables out-of-the-box document processing with very little training. And this includes free-form unstructured data and tables as well. So this is what Compath looks like. So this is the generative extraction capability in communications mining. You can see the email contains multiple requests with multiple policy numbers. We're being asked to change address for two different policies and change name for one policy. So Compath can predict the right intent and extract the relevant data points and understand this relationship between the different data points. This enables us to automate more complex messages with much lower training effort, and also allows us to fine-tune the performance of the model to drive very specific business outcomes. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Andras to talk about DocPath.
Sure. Thanks, Lenka. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So DocPath, as Lenka has mentioned, we built a large language model to process forms of communication, and that's what Compath does. But we also trained our own language model, large language model, to process documents. And this is basically a generative language model that's specialized and has been trained on a large and diverse set of enterprise documents. And it comes with a few benefits. One of them is that because it's a model, it's a large language model that has been pre-trained on a very large set of documents. It works with very little training or minimal training or no training at all on many use cases, which is great because it speeds up implementation time. The second benefit is that based on our test, it is a lot more accurate than our current models, current generation of models, but also compared to market-leading generative AI models. And we're constantly running these benchmarks on a large set of data that we have and constantly trying to make these models as accurate as possible. And this is best seen in the third point, which is complex tables. So we managed to improve the performance of this model of DocPath on tables in general. And this has been, a common pain point for our previous generation of models, tables that span multiple pages or have like complex cells in them were really tough for us to extract. So this model improves the performance on that. There are a couple of clarifications I want to make on DocPath on how we're planning to roll this out to the public. We're basically going to have two phases of the rollout. The first phase is we're going to roll the model out into our public endpoints. As you might know, we have a list of public models or public endpoints or out-of-the-box models that you can use, straight away without training. And here we have more than, I think by now, around 40 or 50 out-of-the-box models. And we already started, and we actually rolled out T5 to serve those public endpoints. So we already have DocPath serving purchase orders, remittance advices, bank statements, utility bills, and 30 more document types. And we're also going to be soon launching DocPath for invoices, receipts, IRS forms soon. And we're also working on providing additional support for Japanese, Chinese, and Hebrew documents, specifically invoices, because this is one of our most used document type. And then in the second phase, we also want to have a trainable version of DocPath. So we want to be launching a public preview of DocPath, a trainable DocPath in modern projects, probably in 24.10. Until then, we also be running a private preview with a limited number of participants. So if you're interested in trying out DocPath and see how well it works on your own data set, look out for announcements on the Insider portal. Okay, Lenka, can you move to the next page? Perfect, thank you. So let's see some benefits around using DocPath and Compath, and why we have invested so much in training our own LLMs for these specific use cases. And that's because they're built for enterprise automation, and that means they have certain features that other LLMs don't have. They have, much more robust security and compliance and governance with, let's say, much better controls and guardrails. And to give you a couple of examples, you can optimize the performance of these models due to them providing confidence scores. This is not something that LLMs or many of the LLMs can provide. So you can very easily set a performance threshold for various use cases. You can optimize for precision, you can optimize for recall, which is something that you always have to do in real world use cases. And then, of course, it's also about privacy. This is this model is hosted by us, UiPath. I think somebody asked that question on the chat. Yes, these LLMs are hosted by us. It's our own infrastructure, so we have control over how the data is used and how the data is shared. And it also, we also have other features like being able to standardize and normalize the output and make it more usable for automation. Now, if you could move to the next slide, please. Okay, so here I just want to cover. Yeah.
Sorry for the interruption. I just have one more question. One more question. So as you said that these LLMs are hosted in the UiPath scenario. But what about, let's say we have some data and we are using these DocPath. So is the data which is being treated by the LLMs are further being used to train the LLMs?
So that's something that you can decide if you want to share your data or not. That's a part of our policy. So we usually store data to improve our own services and our own models and make them better, but it's something that you can opt out of if you want to.
Okay, and just one more question. Sorry for that. So first thing, let's say we are using these LLMs as you mentioned that our regular intelligent OCR will not be used to consume this LLM. So what is the follow-up point? fallback point. So if let's say by any chance we are querying these LLMs to get the data out of the PDF, but it is not giving the desired output. So can we fall back to our regular machine learning and the Forms AI?
Yeah, I hope I heard you right. You have a lot of background
yes,
noise.
yes. Actually, yeah. Sorry for that. So should I repeat my question?
No. I think I got it. You're asking if you can combine multiple models.
Yes.
Yeah. So in the intelligent OCR, one of the features that we have is that you can combine several different models because some models might work best on some use cases, and also some approaches or models are cheaper than others. And you can do that with DocPath as well, and you can use these models in the intelligent OCR package, and you will be able to use the ones that are developed on modern projects as well, because this is something that we have on the roadmap that we're going to be launching, I think, by the end of July. So yes, you will have that feature to combine multiple extraction methods, let's say regex, Form AI, DocPath.
Yeah, thanks for that.
For sure. So
Andras,
let's go.
Have some more questions in the chat. You want to take some of them now?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to take them.
Okay, we have from Srinivas. Yes, how effectively can this extract handwritten text, signatures, etc.?
Well, that depends on the OCR actually. So if the OCR can process the handwritten text, which most of our OCRs can right now, the LLM will be able to process the document as well. And I have processed handwritten documents with these LLMs, and it's working fine. It all depends on the OCR engine.
One more from Barris. When will the dynamic prompting, passing variables, etc., and string input be available in the LLM?
Yes, I think this refers to the generative extractor. I think, again, this is a feature it's on the roadmap, and I think it should come by the end of July. So both of these features are being worked on right now, and they should be available soon.
Okay, and the last one from Tug. Does this work for embedded tables, forms from customers that are non-standard but contain similar information? LLM should be able to cope better with variations?
Yes, it should work on some embedded tables, but here, we also ran into some limitations of the model. So, in reality, tables can get very, very complex. I've seen some really incredibly complex tables out there. And for those, we're still working on providing the best solution. But this model is a lot better on some embedded tables. So I would say give it a try and let us know. But we are working, to improve further on these use cases on embedded tables.
Thank you very much. We'll take the next Q&A so we can move on with the presentation.
Okay. Thanks for all the questions, by the way. Let me come back to my presentation. So here are some other, let's say, common questions that usually arise. I'll just run quickly through them. So new scenarios, I think this is something that I already mentioned. That we're gonna have custom training as well for DocPath that hopefully will make it even better and for your specific use case. Then it will be able to process free-form unstructured documents like contracts and complex tables, and especially documents with long line items or items that are spanning multiple pages. And for Compath, new scenarios are basically messages with multiple intents, as Lenka has shown. So it will be able to identify different intents and organize them and structure the data. In terms of languages, I think this is important to mention. Now we support the same out-of-the-box languages, and this is something that can be found on our documentation page as our current out-of-the-box document understanding models support. That means mostly English and Western European languages, let's say, but we're working on providing further language support for Japanese, Chinese, and Hebrew. And in terms of Compath, so again, same language support as Compath has, GA language support, including Japanese and Korean. Okay. And the last one, I think, is something that I already mentioned around how do we ensure enterprise controls and guardrails. But you will be able to, so we'll be sharing all of this information, and you'll be able to browse it on your own pace. So I think we can move on to the next slide, which is, I think, a poll, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So I would invite, okay, Christina, do you want to take this?
Yes, just a bit, because we must start the presentation, and then everyone will be able to get into the poll.
Okay.
It's just 3 questions.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so we just want to understand like what your experience has been with LLMs, I think, and how you've used LLM in general so far.
Okay, I will switch screen a bit now so we can share the poll on screen. So we are quite a few, 120 in session, so we'll wait a bit more for you guys to join in the quiz room, given that we have such a large audience today, and we're very happy about that. You can also scan directly the QR code on screen, and it will take you straight into the quiz room. And then just keep your mobile close, because you will go through the quiz on mobile. So no worries, all you need is your phone.
Should I answer the questions on the chat, or should we leave them to the end of the session?
You can answer. So if we can cater to more questions in the chat during this time for the quiz, we can save some more time for live Q&A in the end.
Okay, I'll try to answer them.
Thank you very much, Andras. Okay, I think I will start the quiz. I think we are quite topped here at 68, it seems, or 69. Okay, let's see more. Let's see if we get to 70. One more. Okay, we're good. So we will start now with the first question. Keep your eyes on the screen. You will have about 20 seconds to answer the first question. It's not about points, it's mainly just about the correct answer. The question is, are you interested in integrating your language model LLM into UiPath for document processing? And you have 4 answer options. Okay. See, we have 28 on the second option. Let's move to the next question now. If you have a preferred LLM for document processing, please specify which one you plan to integrate. And here we have 7 options, and it's a multiple choice question. So you can also select more than one option. Okay, seems like everyone has voted. Okay, we're good now. We'll go to the next one. Okay. This is the last question. Also multiple choice answer. What are your main reasons for wanting to integrate your own LLM? Select all that apply. Okay, it seems we're almost done. Still. Okay, we're good now. Thank you very much for joining the quiz. Now I will switch it back to my colleagues.
Okay, let me share my screen again. Okay, hopefully everyone can see my screen. So I'll kick off with a quick demo of generative extraction. So for people who have not seen communications mining before, you can see the individual messages here. If you scroll down, these are the individual messages that we are classifying and extracting. In blue, you can see the intents. So based on the annotations, the platform is making predictions of what the intents is. Why is the customer contacting us? And in these blue and yellow and pink boxes, you can see the fields that we're extracting. So to start using generative extraction, we first need to define the extraction schema, or so-called taxonomy. We try to link with extraction fields. What we want to do is link specific fields to specific intents. This is our taxonomy. It's an AP mailbox. It's a shared mailbox that has a number of different queries with a number of different documents. So we can see we have some master data update requests, we have some payment requests, some reminders, some payment status requests, and some of these fields highlighted in blue have the extraction schema defined. So I'll take payment discrepancy as an example. So what we want to do with this specific intent is extract 4 fields, which is the invoice number, payment ID, payment amount, and the amount received. We have a few other labels where we have the extraction schema defined. I'll just expand on it so you can see, for example, with bank details, we want to know the bank name, account number, and the sort code. Just to give you an understanding of what it looks like. So here we can see a single message, which has been classified as a payment amount discrepancy, but also payment status request. So these are the 2 intents. And here I can see 16 different fields. What generative extraction powered by Compath can do is link which fields relate to which requests. And this is what you see on the right-hand side. So we have 16 fields. These have been annotated already, and we can expand on the different intents here. So for payment, for discrepancy payment amount, these are the fields that we extracted. So invoice number, payment amount, and amount received. There's no payment ID. And we have 4 different extractions for payment status request because the customer is asking us for 4 different invoices. So just expanding one of these, it's an invoice number and the payment amount. So you can see that here. What I'm going to do now is run the extraction model, and you can see how it works in real life. So all I have to do now that I have my extraction schema and I annotated a few examples is to click on this button. And very shortly, you can see here, I have my extractions ready. So the model has identified correctly that this is a payment discrepancy, and it's extracting the relevant fields. So I have my invoice number, I have my payment amount, amount received here. After we train a few examples, after we annotate a few examples, what we want to do is set up a stream. So we can set up a stream which creates a queue of communications that can be accessed by a bot in a structured machine-readable format. So let me switch to streams here. I already built my stream, so I'm just going to show you how we build streams. We need to link each stream to a specific model version. The model retrains every time we take an action, so we have a number of model versions here. So this is linked to the latest model version. And what I want to automate is payment amount discrepancy. So this is the intent I want to automate, and I want to extract my 4 fields. What I now need to do is set my threshold. So I set my threshold for 76.3%, which gives me 100% precision and 100% recall. So you can see the number of, with every threshold level, and you can move these to the left, to the right, you can see how the precision and recall changes. And the idea is that you set the threshold that will lead the best performance based on specific business objectives. So sometimes you want to aim for higher precision, sometimes you want to aim for higher recall, but either way, you'll be able to see how many false positives and how many false negatives the model will generate on any specific confidence level. So if I just pick a balance threshold, which is around 76%, in reality, this means that every single message that I have processed that has at least 76% confidence will go through the stream. Everything that is less than 76% confidence will not go to the stream. I'm also going to show you an example workflow of how the end-to-end IDP solution will work. So we would normally start with, so this is already pre-built, but we would normally start with looping in the stream results. We need to specify the stream name. So that's why we need to create a stream in advance. And the specific label that we want to see. So in our case, this is payment amount discrepancy. We're getting all of the extractions and all of the fields. So getting invoice numbers, payment amounts, amount received, and payment ID. We're logging the extracted fields. So you can see some logs here. So it extracted these fields from the 4 emails that we sent through the stream. Some of them have all 4 fields, some of them just have 3. If they're present, they would be extracted. And what we can also do is send the attachments from the emails directly to document understanding by using get attachment activity. It's a new activity that now enables us to store attachments and fetch them straight to document understanding. Saying this, I'm going to hand over back to Andras, who will show you how we're going to extract data from documents.
Thanks, Lenka. Let me share my screen. Just give me a second. All right. Okay. So before showcasing the how we can actually process the documents within the workflow that Lenka was showing, I want to show you a bit our new model building experience, which is the one that Lenka mentioned as well, the active learning model based experience. The way to create this is you create a project, and now you have this option called modern, and this is what we call modern projects. And of course, you're gonna have some documents that you can process out of the box, and this is becoming easier and easier, specifically because of advancements and innovation that's done through large language models like DocPath and Compath. However, sometimes to get to the right level of accuracy, you still might need to fine-tune your model. However, that's also becoming faster and simpler as well, and you require less and less data. And for this particular use case, I trained a custom model for proof of purchase, which can be invoices or can be receipts. And I just want to show you how the new interface looks like. So these are document types that I have in my project. And as you can see, one of them is getting trained. I have two that have already been trained. And if you click on this field, you can see the model score for each of these document types. And what's great with active learning that we're also giving you recommendations on how to improve the performance of these models and what to focus on in order to increase the chances of training the better model. So we're trying to guide you as much as possible. So let's see this particular document type. As I mentioned, this is just a simple either invoice or receipts. And I have a list of fields that I have defined. And the way training works in the new experiences is that you're just labeling some fields. In this case, I'm going to delete some labels and I'm going to reconfirm them because I already labeled these documents. Let's choose another example like this one. I'm just going to delete some fields and then reconfirm. And basically, this annotation action is triggering model training, okay? And once a model is trained, you can navigate to measure. And here you can see a detailed breakdown of the model score, how well the model is performing. And you can see the recommendations on what you should do to improve the performance of the model. And then at publish, you can create a new project version and deploy, let's say, version 3, but I already have some deployed. Select which models that you want to deploy and click on create. It's going to create a new project version, and then you'll be able to consume this from your workflow. And a very big difference here is as now that we're no longer charging for hosting the models, we're not charging for the info part, we're only charging per page processed, which is a big difference from how we charged on our classic model building experience. And the third component that I would like to show you is monitor, in which you can see all of the information about what documents you processed and how they have been processed, as well as some business metrics and some process metrics about how well your automation is performing. But I think I'll come back to this in a bit after I show you my workflow. Okay, so Lenka mentioned that now you can get the attachment from the email, and then you can use our document understanding activities to process those attachments. And in our case, we're going to look at two different activities. The first one is the generative classifier, which can help us classify, whether if it's a proof of purchase or whether in our case, it's a remittance advice. And this, again, it's a very simple activity. You just give the document type name, you give it a short description, okay? And then this is where we're going to use one of our custom models and DocPath to process the two different doc types. So for the proof of purchase, as you've seen in the project, I trained a custom model. This is just for demo purposes, so I can show you how it's done. However, for the remittance advice, we're going to be using DocPath. So this is all, the workflow is already configured. As you can see, I'm just going to be processing the attachments. I'm just going to click on test, and the workflow is going to start executing. And then the attachments are getting processed one by one. They're getting classified. They're getting sent to the right extractor, either to DocPath in the case of remittance advice, or to the custom model in the case of the proof of purchase. And For each of these documents, we're creating a validation task in Action Center, and that's where I'm going to show you the results as well. While we're waiting for the workflow to get executed, let me check if there are any questions, because I think I saw questions popping up. Okay. Yeah. First question, are there DU metrics available in Insights for reporting? Yes, and this is what I started to showcase. So we integrated Insights, which is, let's say, our analytics tool, our platform level RPA analytics tool. We integrated it into document understanding. So now we're exposing all of the DU metrics, document understanding metrics, within the project, within the DU project itself. So here you can see all sorts of business metrics, as well as model performance metrics on the documents that you processed, and consumption metrics as well, like how many AI units you have consumed. But also, a new feature is processed documents, in which we give you an audit trail of all of the documents that have been processed. That means that we can show you each individual document that was processed by a specific automation. We can tell you what workflow processed it, when it was processed, and what were the results of the extraction, what were the results of the classification, what were the results of the validation, who validated the document. So all of that information is stored, and it helps you, have an audit trail of all the documents that have been processed. Okay, I'll go back to my workflow. Let's see if it got executed. Yes. So the workflow has been executed. I can go to Action Center, okay, and I can show you the validation actions. So here, I think right now, I'm only showing you the documents in Validation Station, but we're also working on improvements to our Validation Station to be able to combine both data from the email itself and data from the document and the document itself. So it's easier for you to do the validation of, let's say, the whole task, which usually means the validating the information from the email and validating the email from the attachments as well. So this is something that we're working on, and I think it's on the roadmap for 24.10. But until then, let me show you the results of the extraction. So here we have the remittance advice. This was processed by DocPath, as I mentioned, because we're using an out-of-the-box model and we're using DocPath to process. And as you can see, it's providing confidence scores, and it's extracting all of the relevant information that's basically present on the document. Okay, and then we also have a document that is a proof of purchase. Let's see. Okay, it should be here somewhere 2 minutes ago. Yeah, proof of purchase. It's this one, and this was processed by our custom document. So here you can see, again, it's a very simple example, but I just want to prove the point that this is a model that was trained on a handful of documents, but it can extract these fields, these simple fields, and also provide a confidence score, which, as I mentioned, can be used for you to set the right thresholds for precision and recall. Okay, and let's see if there are any other questions in the chat, because I think there have been a few. Okay, I think they've been answered. Yeah, they might have been answered. Okay.
Andras, I think there is a follow-up question from Annie. Will we be able to see the training log while the bot is performing active learning training? we've seen the training being stuck for 10+ hours and failed, but can't troubleshoot without logs.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the disadvantages of taking away some of the complexity from model training. You don't have control over what happens during training. So while we can provide logs, and we probably will expose some logs, there's nothing really that you will be able to do about it. So compared to AI Center, where you had much more control, but the problem was that it was very complex and required a lot of training to understand how to use. In the new experience, it's a lot less complex, and I think it's a lot easier to use, but you don't have the same level of, like, let's say, fine-grained control over training. The good news is that even if it's you don't have all of these controls, there have been a lot less training failures that happened, and I think we ironed out most of these issues. You might have encountered some during our public preview, especially that we have seen training failures, but I haven't seen, to be honest, that many since. So if you have run into one of these issues, please let us know, and we will investigate. Okay.
Sorry, Andras,
Yeah.
I interrupt with
Please.
this question. It's a little bit too complex to write it down in the chat. So
That's okay.
regarding so currently there is a 3,000 pages limitation per document type.
Yeah.
And I do have a use case where we reach that limit. However, the documents themselves, they're kind of invoices, but they are they do have a lot of
variation,
garbage pages that are not really useful for the model. So probably we have 4 pages of invoice, but only 1 or 2 pages contain real data. The rest of them are just legal stuff that is not important. So because of that, the 3,000 pages is reached, but without having a model properly trained. Question is, would it be possible to remove those garbage pages in the document manager during the annotation, so that we can reduce the number of pages uploaded to be able to upload more invoices?
So first of all, this is a temporary limitation. We will probably lift that and allow you to add more documents. That's the first part, and the second part is to be able to actually split the document, because that's what the feature that you're asking for, to split it and then delete some pages. That's something that we're working on for 24.10, and that will, in these use cases, sometimes you need to do splitting as well, not just for training purposes, but also in production as well. Because from my experience, if you send some of these attachments to the model together with the invoice, you might end up with a lot of false positive, or might end up with some gibberish that the model extracts because it's getting confused of all the data. So in reality, you most likely would like to split the document before sending it to the model. So because of that, this requires the splitting functionality, which, as I mentioned, is something that we're planning to do for 24.10. And this is something that will be rolled out in phases. In the first phase, you won't be able to split in the user interface. You can just turn on splitting or turn it off. And then we also have a user interface in which you can delete pages, split documents as well. So I hope that answers your question.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. Quick one here. So 24.10 planned for GA. What would be the roadmap for private or public preview?
That's probably not GA. That's probably public preview, not private preview. Public preview.
Okay, got it. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just one more question on this side. So one of the use cases is that sometimes we have a page where we have both like the horizontal text and the vertical text. So will it be able to handle those type of scenarios? Like if we are able to extract those like vertical text, sometimes the pages contain those things.
Vertical text or handwritten text? I'm not sure.
It can be both, like the type the digital text vertical and the handwritten vertical.
Yeah, we can. In modern projects, if you this is something that you can test out on your own. We do support vertical text, and we also support handwriting as well.
Okay.
So the short answer is yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
If you are splitting the documents before sending them to perform the data extraction, what if the batch document, say, for example, this page here, if it has an empty page, something that doesn't need to be included, will that be something that version 24.10 will be able to handle? I know that you can mark it as not categorized, but it still gets uploaded to the AI Center and data set.
A blank, you're saying a blank page?
A blank, it could be a blank page, but if you have a document of 10 pages and there's happens to be one page that you don't necessarily need for data extraction, how will 24.10 allow users to be able to exclude that page from being categorized and subsequently data extracted from it?
Yeah, so you will be able to create an additional class that you can call, I don't know, junk, and this happens in quite often in reality. You know, documents have all sorts of other pages attached. Sometimes they're useful and you want them. Sometimes they're just addendums that you don't need. So what you'll need to do is to mark those pages as, let's say, junk, and label them, and then at runtime we will be able to predict that, hey, this is an invoice, this is a junk, and only send the relevant document. So only send the invoice to the model.
Okay, thank you.
There is another question regarding the DU framework.
Okay.
If it's still recommended or not. So if you could expand a little bit on that.
Yes, let's see that question. The chat, DU framework.
Tushar Sonak raised it.
Yeah. Is the DU framework using still recommended? Yes. So there are, let me answer a broader question around current limitations. So modern projects have a set of current limitations that probably make it not really suitable for most enterprise use cases right now. And we have those list of limitations documented on our official documentation. You can have a look. You can check if it's okay for you or not. But we're working on addressing these limitations, and we have a very aggressive timeline. We want to address the most important ones until the end of July. One of these limitations is supporting the intelligent OCR framework for these modern projects. This is something that we are working on right now. And once we have support for modern projects in the intelligent OCR, that means we also have support for these projects in the DU framework. Okay, so it will be updated to support modern projects. However, for the public endpoints, for DocPath, that already works because it's the same public endpoint. It's just that we're using a different model to serve these endpoints. In terms of recommendations, between Studio, between the intelligent OCR, let's say, and the Studio Web activities. Most of our clients still use the intelligent OCR activities and still use the DO framework that's available, because there's still, again, missing features on the Studio Web activities. For that, we have probably a longer timeline on when we're going to have this complete parity between Studio Web and intelligent OCR, probably sometime around 24.10. Until then, I suggest everybody to use the DO framework and the intelligent OCR activities. The other ones, the Studio Web activities, are mostly, you know, for demo purposes or for simple use cases. Like, as you can see, I just used the Studio Web activities. Okay, I hope that was a long answer, but I hope I answered your question. Okay, let me see if there are any other questions here. Is splitting document before sending to a section? What's the best tool for use to splitting right now? So right now we have splitting in the intelligent OCR activities. We have the intelligent keyword classifier. As I mentioned, modern project is not yet available in this. It will be by the end of July, and then at that point you will be able to use the IKC together with the models that you develop in the modern project to do this, the splitting, and you can use the intelligent keyword classifier until we develop a new classifier in modern projects.
Thank you.
Okay. I think we have 3 more minutes. I'm not sure. Is there anything else that I need to share on the on the presentation? Lenka, Christina?
No, so we have a few assets that we'll be sharing. So we'll be sharing a complete active learning user guide with you, and we'll be also sharing a full list of FAQs on the UiPath LLMs, so you can read it in your own time. So we have no further slides to present.
Okay, yeah, so Lenka has put together an amazing guide on active learning. It covers all of the, you know, limitations, covers all of the best practices, how to use it. So please try it out, you know, have a look. It's very useful. I recommend it to everyone. And also there's a very great FAQ as well on UiPath LLMs, in which the most common questions that you might have about DocPath and Compath will be answered. Okay.
So Andras, just a question. Yeah. Like, will those modern projects will be available on the APIs?
Yes, yeah. Modern projects are already. So if you go to publish, and you can see here integrate your API for open in Studio Web, and Studio Desktop is not yet supported. But if you go to integrate your API, you can see here that you can already consume these models, and we also give you some sample.
That would be great. Yeah, that will be great.
Okay. Any other questions? We have 1 more minute. Yeah, Studio Desktop is supported with the cross-platform activities. Thanks, thanks Jeppe for that correction. All right.
If you can, maybe Andrei, if you can just wait 1 minute, I would like to share something which is important. I know it went through the channels, but maybe just to share it again to our audience. Let's see. Okay. So this is something very important for us in community. It's a project that is undergoing now. It will close at the end of next week, State of the Automation Professional Survey. This is a global survey we undergo each year for the whole industry across the globe, all the automation professionals, and also across technologies. So if you take 10 to 15 minutes, it's about 10 minutes completion time survey, you will secure a free copy of the report. When we have aggregated the data, this will be sometime at the beginning of August, most probably, and you will get insights on the industry development, career development, role development, technology use, salary basis as well. So it's a very, very insightful report each year. We are aiming to have as high number of completions, so the data is very qualitative as well. Please scan the QR code on screen, save the link, and yeah, help us to get more data into this report so we can benefit our whole community. I will leave this just a bit more on screen so you have time to scan the QR code. And let me also share the link in the chat. So you can also save this link for later to complete the survey. Yeah, so remember you have until the end of next week, let's say by Friday, to complete the survey. This is already our 5th edition, I think. It's pretty successful each year, very sought after, everyone. Thank you very much. Hope everyone had the chance to copy the link.